Cool. Boom. Welcome back to another episode of Stoppage Time TV. We're live back in the flesh, live and direct in any Zoom studio, TBA, TBC. But listen, we're here, man. Obviously, I've got my boy Fuad, got Cam with me. Obviously, you already know who I am. But let's get into it, man. Champions League football is back. World Cup format commencing any day from now. And there's a few elephants in the room to address, namely in the fact that Ronaldo will not be going to Portugal, which is a shame. A big shame if you think about it. And who else got knocked out? Chelsea were knocked out already. And Madrid, yeah. So where would you gentlemen like to start? Actually, you know what? Let's start with Chelsea so we can rock ties.
I was going to say, don't try to run from it.
No, I was going to say, where do you want to start? Let's start Chelsea, then we tie an FA Cup, and then we'll move to Varane and all of them, man, there. So, yeah, 7-1 on aggregate, which is appalling, which is really bad. But
fantastic.
For you would say that. It's not as bad as your licks, but licks are licks. But what's more pressing about this was, I think the last time we recorded, when Chelsea secured top four, I made a public statement. I said, Chelsea fans, don't get gassed. We know what the standard is. We can't be celebrating this. And I also mentioned that I was looking forward to this Bayern match because I wanted to see one more time, for the last time this season, difference in quality. And that's what we saw for the whole game. Lewandowski involved in all 4 goals. Thiago, someone that said, he can't play in the Premier League, absolutely bossing it. Backline, doing what it does. Neuer looks like rubbish, but at the end of the day, the rest of the team, you look at it, patterns of play, aggression, individual quality, everything was on. And for me, what that shows you is, with Chelsea right now, it's all great that we finished 4th and everything, but like I said in that last episode, don't get gassed, because now, everything we've said this season, all the pardons that we've put this season for whatever reason, it's out the window next season. Because in life or in anything, once you know what the mistakes were or you know what the shortcomings are, what you're supposed to do, we've seen that golfing difference. This is a team that a few years ago, we were challenging them for a Champions League title in their backyard. We face them now, they slap us up.
You beat them. You beat them in their backyard.
They slap us up. Difference. Even if you look at it in terms of their old guard, 2 of their wingers left this season. They replaced them with some of the brightest prospects in football. There's a difference.
Gnabry wasn't deemed good enough at Arsenal.
Real talk. Sane is there licking his lips thinking, you know what, I want some of this next season. Mm-hmm. Even if you look at the smaller things, such as Arsenal. Remember when the whole thing about Arsenal being like, we want to challenge Bayern Munich, want to have the same stadium or whatnot. The difference in that, Chelsea don't want to become that. So now we need to analyse our situation and say, okay, listen, top 4 is not a metric of excellence in any way, shape or form for Chelsea Football Club.
Yeah.
Losing 7-1 to Bayern Munich is unacceptable. I don't care whether you've got young players, old OAPs, it's unacceptable. It's happened. How are you going to address it now? Even the small thing, Cam, you highlighted something to keep on the group chat, which is what I was alluding to a few weeks ago, is in terms of Lampard and consistency. And that's what I'm alluding to here as well, because it's one thing to say, the quality is not good enough, the players are not good enough. How do you address that next season? Because you don't have this whole, it's your first year, there's no transfer. We don't have the parameters that we have this year anymore. Next year, things have to be addressed. Next year, you can't concede that many goals and then say, it's because of my defenders. How are you going to coach the defenders?
You lot are now in a...
You're going to bring in?
Yeah, you lot are now in a dangerous spot, I think, of where you lot are at risk of going backwards for the first time, I think, in a long time in Chelsea, or even staying static, if you want to say. Because
staying stagnant is going backwards.
From Sarri last year, nothing's improved, let's be real. Position, cups-wise, it is just what it is. And the amount of games you've lost, the amount of goals you've conceded, the way you've even conceded in some of them games, I don't think has kind of been good enough. And even though, I kind of expected that from Chelsea anyway, going into the game when you looked at that lineup. I mean, Tammy and Cho, we hadn't seen them for years. They actually had decent games yesterday. But aside from that, I thought the rest of the team were fucking shocking, to be honest. But the one main thing I want to highlight on is Lewandowski in that game for me. I think, when we say the Ballon d'Or's been kind of ruled out this year and everything, I think he's been one of the people that's been...
He's been robbed.
Done dirty the most, probably, because the way he played in that game, we've always questioned whether in the knockout stages, can he step up in them big moments? Because aside from that, the hat-trick against Real Madrid, 6 or 7 years ago, he hadn't really done much in the quarterfinals. Was it since 2018? He hadn't scored prior to the first leg in the Chelsea game. So the fact that he's dominated both legs, 2 goals, 2 assists as well, like creating goals as well now.
Goals.
Bro, 52 goals. What is it? 53 goals all competitions? Like, absurd. It's almost fake numbers if you want to look at it. But credit to him where credit's due. But listen, London at the end of the day now officially just belongs to Bayern Munich. I don't want to hear North London is red, North London is white or blue. Like, what is it? Chelsea 7-1 aggregate, Arsenal 10-2 aggregate, Spurs 10-3 aggregate.
Yeah.
Stop it. London belongs to Bayern.
I've got a question for you, man. Very quickly. I've got a question for you, man. Based on what we're saying, and everything, and based on the fact that we're looking at Chelsea and saying that Chelsea essentially could be in a dangerous place, which we've alluded to and whatnot, do you think Lampard knew how big this job was when he walked into it? Because if Sarri stayed, that would have been one thing. But do you reckon Lampard knew that he was going to walk in?
Sarri's getting sacked while winning titles this year. That's kind of like the difference of the expectations for me. And this is what I said at the start of the season with the rose-tinted glasses that I felt like Chelsea had on. And I get he's going to get this season's bly or whatever, but next season there's going to be such a big lens on Lampard, and I'm worried that this is going to almost ruin his legacy at Chelsea if this goes wrong. Similarly, how Pirlo's just taken over at Juve. I'm worried for that, brother. He was given the under-23 job, just last week? Like, the big clubs now are falling in love with this hiring former players thing too much for me. It's like...
No, it's not. There's a lack of everything. I'm telling you, there's a lack of everything in football nowadays, mate. There's a lack of good coaches.
It's so mad.
There's a lack of quality. There's a lack of everything.
Desperation, though.
No, when my only thing is, as bad as Chelsea are, right, or whatever, or compared to Bayern Munich, I don't care. Like, Lampard, you can come out and blame players like he's been doing all season. Like, everyone was saying it's real and it's refreshing and stuff, which in the beginning I was kind of saying that. But after a while, I look at it and I just think you're just kind of finger pointing all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't hear him addressing his mistakes and what he's doing wrong. But when I look at it, I don't care how bad your team is, right? You don't lose in that margin, bro. If it means you have to have 11 men behind the ball and you lose 2-0 or whatever, cool. Whatever. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Going and losing that in 7-1 and aggregate is absolutely horrific, bro. It's horrific. And as much as we can say their defense is bad and stuff, no, their attack midfield didn't lay a glove either. You know what I'm trying to say? So, bro, I don't rate the way Lampard set up. And then to come out and then start talking about the quality, and then when he talks about I've learned things today, and bro, address all your mistakes, bro. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
It's a big point. Cam, you see what you're mentioning now. Do you remember a few seasons ago when Chelsea played City, Conte season, and it was the worst? It was so ugly, but Chelsea only lost 1-0. Do you remember that game?
Yeah, I think so.
Where it was just like everyone was looking like, and it was like, why are Chelsea doing this? But we only lost 1-0. At the time, people would criticize that and everything. But sometimes there has to be this balance where, you know what, in that situation, Conte did that because he said, you know what, I know these guys have better ability, but I'm not going to come in and get spanked. I don't care if we look ugly. We have some respect. With Chelsea, what showed yesterday was, and I'm going to be honest and transparent with it, I've always said youth is good, youth is great. However, there has to be a balance of experience. Willian and Pedro are leaving now. So that leaves your experience. In terms of most goals scored for Chelsea, I think it might be Giroud of active players and whatnot. If you look at the experienced heads in the team, which I've said all season, there's not really many that you look around. Like, you got Asby and whatnot, but Asby is not someone that's going to call people out and everything, because we saw it ironically against City, we saw it in the Carabao Cup. So where Chelsea in the situation now is, you want to buy exciting young talent, but you can't balance it with the quality of elder statesmen that can come into the squad and balance it up, because who are you going to buy? One, that's dangerous. Two, look at our young players here, and I'm going to highlight a very young player that didn't get nominated for Young Player of the Year. Bukayo Saka, great player, done well this season. There's been games where he hasn't played. And the reason I'm highlighting that is because Arteta obviously feels that, you know what, even though you're young and you're good enough, I still get qualities from other players. Chelsea in a situation where all of their young players are starting and whatnot. It doesn't mean you're of quality. Look at Phil Foden. Phil Foden is of quality to start from many Premier League teams. He's not playing all the time. Why? Because they say, you know what, you're of quality, but
So what are you saying? The youngsters ain't good enough, basically.
Next season, how many players are going to start for Chelsea of the young lot? Not many have secured.
The older lot are
That's
dead
got to
too.
come down to coaching
That's
as
the
well.
only thing that
No,
gets
you can
on
highlight
nerves,
that.
though.
No,
The
you can
young
highlight
lot ain't good.
Yeah.
But the older lot are dead.
And as
Aspie's
well.
whack.
Exactly.
Aspie's whack. Zuma's whack. Rudiger's whack. Alonso's
Christensen.
whack. Jorginho's whack.
That's
Kante's whack.
That's
Kovacic is the only good one. These guys, bro. Willian's average. Pedro's whack.
Yo.
Ooh.
Hey, your
Giroud?
volume went mad there.
Oh, is it? Swear down. I don't know what happened. Giroud.
Hey.
But Cam,
Giroud
everything
is the only one. Giroud is the only one out of those elderly statesmen and Kovacic that can say, "Yeah, do you know what? I'm actually a very good player." I thought they keep saying youth. The older lot are whack too, man.
So let me interrupt there. This is exactly what I said though. So now you're in a situation where I asked a question: did Lampard know how big this job was when he was coming in? Because because think about this.
He had rose-tinted glasses on. He had dream job, this is a step up from Derby.
If we're being realistic here, Chelsea
I think he
next season.
I think he knew.
The reason why I'm saying it is because Chelsea next season are essentially going to try and make a new starting 11 from scratch. If we're being real, to be where they need to be, we've signed how many attacking players at the moment? We're still saying we need a centre back and a left back and a new goalkeeper. Chelsea are essentially going to try and make a new starting 11 from scratch. That is big. If you look at what we're saying about Pirlo, Juventus, right? Juventus was a squad that needs overhaul. So Pirlo is going to come in and have to try and do something there. I don't know whether what was on paper and what the reality of the situation at Chelsea was clear. Because even a lot of fans, if you tell a lot of fans that, oh, listen, within 2 years' time or within a year's time, you're going to have to revamp your whole squad, they would have been like, oh, no.
Bro, he knew what he was walking into, I think, kind of in the sense of the squad needing a lot of changing. Because I think the 2 years prior to that, I think you had some of your arguably worst signings and worst windows. Like there was at one point you lot was linked with Carroll and Green and
Dawson and all of it.
Like it was a bad 2 year spell. So I think he knew coming in this was going to be kind of the leeway year, but over this next coming year it's going to crank up a lot. But for me, moving forward anyway, I still don't get this obsession with Kai Havertz. I'm being honest with you. Like the fees that's being broken. I watched a play against you, like Thiago, who I'm hearing is available for 30 million. We saw Kovacic, we saw KDB, we saw all these centre midfielders over this week, and he looked a clear cut above all of them, and he's available for 30 million. And man are out here haggling 90 million for a guy who's strolling around in a Europa League fixture. I get he might be trying to reserve himself for the Chelsea move, but still try and, you know what I mean, perform up to the levels. I don't know. I like Kai Havertz, don't get it twisted, but if I'm hearing 90 mil, 100 mil, and Thiago's available for 30, I know which one I'm taking.
I don't know. That's the thing, though. Like, nowadays, if you try and sign a player, yeah, and you hear that I don't know what it is with this world, but nowadays, if you try and sign a player, you hear they're 29, people mention, oh, he's 29. What
and it's right off.
If you're 29, you can give me a good 3 years of solidness. Like Man United signed Van Persie at 29 years old, and what happened?
I was going to say, sorry,
100%.
In his older years has probably been exceptional more than his younger years.
Anyway, this is what I mean, bro. I know Chelsea are not a great team, but that was a real midfield. That was a real midfield masterclass. You know what I mean? No crosses from the side, no doing the most, just straight balling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Straight balling.
You think even when Chelsea signed Ballack, what was he? 29, like almost approaching 30. So it's like when you sign them elite, ready-made players, I think that is what Chelsea need to push them over the next level.
Right.
If you're going for that position,
I'm happy you mentioned
instead of addressing the defense. But hey,
I'm happy that you mentioned that though, because again, if you look at Chelsea, that area which everyone was always going to relate back to and be like, oh, why can't we be like we were back then? We were signing players like, okay, Deco may not ready-made winners and killers. So they come in and the mentality is there. Jose Mourinho apparently said a quote, I don't know if it's real or not, where he said, at 23, Lampard was a man. However, at 23 now, these guys are still little kids. I don't know whether that quote is real.
No, he said little brats.
I don't know if it's real or not, innit? So I just wanted to tweak it.
Spice it up a little.
That is the reality of the game now, where like not every young player is going to come in and be this killer. And of course, okay, you know what, you can get Havertz. And for me, I do think it's a good move, but you've got no experience in that team for him to learn from, number one. Number two, you're putting a lot of pressure on his shoulders.
Bro, he's going to have to be the Messiah when he comes in.
Exactly. So Chelsea's recruitment has to be smart. And again, I understand why they'll go at the Havertz because, again, defensive talent, who's available, who can you cut that can make an impact and whatnot. That's not a gamble. It's tough. So you try and go for the talent when it's on the market. But to sum up on Chelsea, the last week in terms of the FA Cup loss to Arsenal and the Champions League to showcase to all Chelsea fans that, listen, you can't rest on your laurels and get gas. Because like I said in the last time recorded, this is not the standard for us. This week has shown that, you know what, we are far from where we should be. So people, man them, girl them, whoever it is, need to relax. Summer come, right recruitment and whatnot. And next season, everyone's going to have to step into the light because all of this stuff that we've managed to say to buy ourselves time doesn't run next year. You get me? And that's not with Lampard. That's with a lot of Champions League and Premier League managers this year. All of the stuff we got to say this year, next season, step into the light. On that segue, someone that stepped into the light and looked funky in it was Varane. Ramos wasn't there to hold his hand. We saw some funny stuff. I know you wanted to free this one. The
GOAT, man. When he's not there, you see the difference. Like I've said, for me, arguably that's the best centre-back pairing. And Varane, don't get it twisted, is one of the best centre-backs in the world. So for me, it was so mad when you kind of see from minute one, he's having a shocker. And I tried to you saw me on Twitter, try to give him the excuse to the first goal, saying Courtois put him in an awkward position. But bro, it's simple things. And I think Madrid were almost overcomplicating themselves that game and just making life hard for themselves. It was mistake after mistake, whether it was him, Casemiro, Militao, who stepped in. Like, it was just shit all round. And then you had the star man Hazard, who everybody wanted to kind of see a performance to kind of show some life and revival. We saw nothing. Like, his heat map was a couple steps on the left hand next to the touchline. Like, I don't know whether he's I don't know, missing something, but next season, similar to Lampard, we were saying, big eyes are going to be on Hazard because that kind of performance at that stage, I mean, people are calling Hazard out now for the last week or so for people comparing him to Neymar. And you're starting to think, were they ever really that close? Like, in retrospect, like Hazard is now, what, 30? We've got catalogue to look back on. So Hazard...
He was never close to Neymar.
Facts. In my opinion, never. But for some reason, Chelsea fans have always kind of held him to that regard and said, yeah, this is the caveat. They say ability and dribbling, and there's always these caveats. Nah, bro. Like,
everything Hazard can do, Neymar can do better.
Facts. Straight up. And for me, that game just kind of highlighted a lot of things where you can see Madrid are in transition with a lot of these youngsters coming through. But that midfield now, I think, is done out with the Kroos, the Modric, the Casemiro.
I thought Kroos had a good game.
Kroos had a good game, yeah. But I'm saying, in general, like, the general play from that midfield was slow and not Madrid kind of like what we've seen over the last couple of years. And I think maybe it's Modric's time to go. I'll be honest with you. I think the legs are gone. He's, 34, 35 now? It's been waiting.
You know where I thought the issue was with there is with that midfield, right? They know they're good at what they can do, and they won't do what they can't do. The issue where you get the issue is when you play like a team like maybe a Bayern Munich or a City when they're up for it. It's a different game now because you man are gonna have to run. You're gonna have to do doggies. We're gonna have to make. It's
not even that as well. Yeah, it's in previous years that midfield three has always had a Ronaldo and a Bale to go to.
Yeah.
Now it's what Rodrigo and an overweight Hazard. Like.
And that's why when you look at this season, and again, loads of people have slept on Benzema. That's why you have to pay credence to what he this season for them. Because at the end of the day, he did carry that team. But on the Casemiro performance, I was really shocked by it because in the highlights and everything as well, you kind of look to him in this specific game that, you know what, he's going to protect the defense. He might pop up with, like, you know, a key pass or something. And he looked absolutely, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the heat, you know, because it was the hottest day in of the year. He looked shocking in that game. But, I mean, Madrid are out. That's the first time. Is that the first time Zidane's lost knockout tie, in it? First time he's lost knockout tie.
Yeah.
So,
like, when you look at Madrid and you look at the City, personally, for me, I mentioned it on Twitter. Like, first and foremost, I'm seeing Varane do that, yeah. And Varane and Ramos Ramos is probably maybe the best or whatever. Varane, Ramos, and VVD. No wonder VVD is being called the GOAT. Like, literally, no wonder he's being called the GOAT, because you've got this is the level. And like, I rate Varane, yeah, but it's just, I said it like 3 months ago. If we had players who were deemed B category centre backs, I saw that tweet about Silvestre, and that was too far. You're going too far. But
if you bring him,
with someone like Ricardo Carvalho, he'll be outright the best defender in the world.
Yeah, of course.
In this era, and it's not even just the defending. Everything, when I'm looking at it, like, I've been looking at this whole Champions League, I'm not impressed with the quality of football no more, bro. I'm not impressed with it. Real Madrid are average. Juventus are average. Barcelona are average. Bayern Munich are good. Atletico Madrid are average. PSG are just do the same thing what they do every year. Even without Mbappe, they look like United without Pogba.
Yeah.
What was who else played? Chelsea are average.
Atlanta and Leipzig,
Bro,
I think.
all of these teams. Yeah, but all of these teams are not the standard no more. They're not the standard. And what's happening is, because football now you're talking, for example, Fuad, you're talking about Modric needs to go, right, or whatever. So they bring it in. What's happening now is that teams are having to either dive into their youth players, or they're having to go and buy some random youth from abroad. Look at what Real Madrid are buying: Vinicius, Rodrigo, brought through Valverde. Back then, because players were affordable. Now everything is unaffordable. To sign a player, you're breaking the bank just to sign an average player nowadays. So that's why you get so many teams now looking like they need transition. They need this. So many teams you can say are in transition period because everything is overpriced, which is making the players that are getting bought just average players, fam. These teams have average players, bro. I'm looking at it, I'm like, what do you say?
Can I give a caveat to that? Because you mentioned that the good team at the moment is Bayern Munich. If you break down everything that Bayern Munich have done, they are probably the only team that are still managing to do good business, bring in good players, do good things, and keep football how it was. And that's always been there. Apart from the Hernandez deal, that's a major red flag, by the way. And if anything, in terms of that bad signings, that is crazy. But Bayern Munich are one of these football clubs that I think
Juve as well. Juve, for the most part, have been. I think this season...
No, they've done bad business, bro.
What ones?
No. Because Juve...
All them free signings are average players they're signing, bro.
You're saying it because it's NBA free agency. No, when you break it down, properly, a lot of the stuff the business they've been doing, when you look at it in the light, it looks a little bit funny. Bayern Munich, in terms of their business, always correct. I would throw Dortmund in there, but Dortmund are not...
Wait, I'm going to ask a question. Does anyone think signing Cristiano Ronaldo for 100 and something million in his final couple years was smart business?
Yeah.
Now look, you think that was good business?
Yeah.
I don't think that was good business.
I agree with you.
I don't think that was good business.
I think he delivers exactly what you buy him for 100. He's probably one of the few players I would actually look at and say, yeah, he's worth 100 million.
I think
he's the anomaly.
Why would you say that?
You say that?
I want to hear your opinion.
Because it's
he scored 100% of their knockout goals.
Hold on. See, listen, that's the thing. You know, when people see things like that, they see things like somebody's doing it all. That means it's good. But that could mean that for me, sometimes I look at it the other way. That means to me, the other players ain't being able to shine. That's how I see it. Bro, the guys, Cristiano Ronaldo is a top player, whatever, but you signed him 100 and something million, neglected the rest of the squad, because that squad is absolutely bleeding, yeah? You neglected the rest of the squad. You brought in Ramsey on a free, right? Because you're having to try and wheel and deal. Because you bought Ronaldo at 33 years old for 100 and something million. Now he hasn't delivered you the Champions League. What now? What are you going to do now?
But weren't you one of Ramsey's biggest fans, though? It's Rabiot as well ain't a bad signing.
Rabiot's average. Rabiot's an average player. Ramsey is just a good player, but you gave him 400 bags. That's horrible business. Pjanic, average. Bentancur and all them average. So to sign Cristiano Ronaldo, listen.
They got Arthur coming.
For that 100 and something million, all I'm saying is that was a massive gamble you took, and ultimately, all it has really been is a Ronaldo stat show. We all happy with what we're seeing of him. Oh, he's got the most goals ever. He's got this. He's got that. But ultimately, you're just winning the Serie A. You're just winning the Serie A like you do every year. and you're not getting closer to the Champions League. It's been 25 years. You lost to Lyon and you lost to Ajax. You didn't lose to prime Barcelona. You didn't lose to prime. You lost to 2 average teams. It's the way it is.
You make a good point, but let's highlight what we said before. I've come out and said Bayern Munich are one of the only teams on their world football that do astute business. They don't go for the big name. They go for the practical player, and they can build on stuff and do things and whatnot. With that 100 mil, if Juventus don't sign Ronaldo, I can probably bet a lot that with that 100 mil, the signings they make are still not going to be influential or pivotal. You have to remember, this is a team that nearly sold Dybala to that were trying to get rid of Dybala. So again,
business.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. What we're highlighting is what we said about United, but it goes for football in general. I think football is in a state right now where, Fuad, I think you mentioned it, everything is a trend. No one's actually doing stuff because it's the right thing to do, or no one's actually creating a way to say, you know what, this is sick. Bayern Munich are one of the teams that still definitely do it, and maybe you can say it's because they've got a stranglehold of all the teams around them. But a lot of teams, you look at what they're doing. Barcelona are leaving their last years of Lionel Messi to a rubbish manager and a bleeding team. And again, let me highlight this: the Thiago thing, right? Barcelona announced the deal, whatever the money laundering deal, a week before Thiago said he wanted to leave. That tells me something. Thiago didn't even think about going back to Barcelona, because in any normal situation, it would have been like, you know what? Listen, man, I'm looking to leave. You know what? Obviously, summer's coming. Boom.
Let's get Pjanic instead.
So that tells me that Thiago's people and whatnot are not even thinking of Barcelona like that. So this tells you what the state of football is in. Personally, for me, right now, there's not a lot of teams that are, and the teams that are forward thinking and innovative, they're not big enough to challenge it, like your Leipzigs and Dortmunds, all these teams, because those are the teams that are actually thinking, you know what, let's piece together here and whatnot, but we're not going to be big. So we're going to sell our players for extortionate amounts to you, man. But we're just going to keep, one day, we're going to keep going, and we might be big enough. Because think about it.
Talk about Messi's performance yesterday, though, man.
Listen, what happened? What is going on? Yeah, that teams no longer can just. You can't play football. You guys are not playing. I was watching the first 5 minutes of that Real Madrid City game, and every pass Real Madrid, they look shaky, but City were just half pressing. I was like, if Sterling presses one of these guys, he's gonna tackle them. In the end, it ended up being Jesus or whoever harassed him, and then they scored. But what happened to the days where you just give the ball to the better players and let the flipping better players play the football? What is going on?
That's what happened. Playing out the back.
Pause.
Every defender wanted to be a midfielder.
You're right. But when you said give the ball to the better players, yeah, let's look at Real Madrid's team. Let's look at it then. Give the ball to the better players.
But the better players are Cruz.
Wait. Cruz was tired. No, Cruz had a good team. Modric, tired. Hazard, meh. Rodrigo, meh. You can't just lump the ball to Benzema. So
stay in the right, bro. Listen, I'd rather lose.
It's a full circle conversation.
I would rather lose the game. I would rather lose the game with my best players having the ball at their feet and having an under par game, below par game, than my defenders who can't not kick ball,
dilly-dallying
flipping,
around.
going and just throwing away the game.
That is exactly right. But literally everything.
Bro, City didn't have to come out of first gear that game, you know. City were not that good.
They didn't.
The only person for me that was like really good, you can say Rodri had a really good game. And the thing about Rodri is he struggled in the.
I was going to say he struggled for the first goal. Was it with Benzema as well?
Yeah, he lost the header. Yeah, for me, in the Champions League, right? In the Champions League, one of my boys made a good point. He's really helped City in Europe. In Europe, he helped
like
City.
KDB in the
car. KDB?
Not KDB. I said Rodri.
Is that the real KDB Bandry?
Huh?
Is that KDB Bandry?
Yeah, right. I don't live with my parents. Yeah, but Rodri in Europe. Rodri in Europe really helps them. In the Premier League, I still don't think he's done well, but in Europe, he really helps them. He really helps them. He had two good performances.
So, because we ain't got much time left, let's give Messi his flowers, because again, just
the glitch.
I think we don't need to say anything more than that. He's just a glitch. And again,
it's just Messi for Napoli, though. I don't really see what the whole hype is.
No. But we're just saying in terms of.
No, but that goal, the second goal I was talking about was fucking incredible, man.
What he does.
Balance.
Koulibaly.
I was going to say, let's touch on that.
This is the
Koulibaly is
best
another one of
system.
those that
This is
last
100
year was, you were saying with those centre backs, the VVDs, Ramos, Varane. No, hold on, relax. Let me finish my sentence. That's where he was being held amongst like the elites. Over the last 6 months or so since the restart, talk to me. What's happened?
Listen,
Bro,
this
I'm
is
telling
the
you,
phrase, this
every single time I've watched this he's been average. Every single, and
Hey.
I can only go with what I say. I don't go with what people's hype is saying. I
Yeah.
can only go every single time I've watched Koulibaly, he has been average. And people say, "Oh, don't just judge against Messi." But if this is what 100, this is people are talking about. He's 100 and something million.
Bro,
blah. Like he's average.
think there
He's
was-
just decent to me.
there was
He's
two.
just decent.
Was it the Maze? You remember the Parma game and the Atlanta game? I
No,
think,
it was,
back
no,
to
no,
back.
no, no, no. It was the Sampdoria game where there was 4
Sampdoria.
goals.
Oh my lord.
Fun.
Those were the when I saw back-to-back performances like that in the league consistently, I thought, yo, there's something wrong here. Either the golden patch he was on has kind of worn off now, and this is the true Koulibaly, or boy, he is suffering at the minute.
I'd like to highlight something as well. Like,
end.
if Koulibaly was like, don't get me wrong, like, I think he can defend, but he's not at this level. It goes back. I've always said it. Like, there's not many A centre backs anymore. If he was the level, Juventus would have put money on him time ago. It's naturally what happens in them parts of the world, and they haven't.
Remember that episode when I spoke about Koulibaly? They started to threaten me. You know, they were sending me threats.
Yeah, you was bigging him up, and Mace said you don't even watch Serie A.
I didn't bring him up.
No. He said black centre back.
I said I would never sign. They
No, but you know what I'm talking about in the old studio.
What?
Oh no! I know what you're talking
The old studio.
Oh, that wasn't Koulibaly's name, was it?
That was Koulibaly's name.
Koulibaly?
Who was bigging him up? And
I
they
don't think
said
it was
you don't even
Koulibaly.
watch Serie A.
Prove it.
Hey, watch.
Prove it.
I'm going to throw it back on the story.
Listen. London, before we go, it's only right that we look at the ties coming up in the mini tournament, which I think, again, there was a point we raised time ago. I think it might have been Cam. It was either Cam or Fuad. And we said the reason why this is so sick is because at the end of the day, this is just about football now. You bring your best 11, I bring my best 11. We see who's on what. We've got knockout football now, games every other day, World Cup format, Portugal, neutral grounds and whatnot, no away goals, none of that jazz. We've got City versus Lyon, Leipzig versus Madrid, Atletico, Bayern, Barcelona, and Atlanta, PSG. Who does this format? Who does this format favor? As in 11 versus 11.
City and Bayern easily.
It favors Atletico Madrid. It favors Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid in a one-off game, defending for their lives, just to nick a game. That's their life. You know, the only team
going forward,
you know,
they struggle though, man.
You know who I add on to that?
You know the only team.
Sorry, Cam. What I would add on to that?
Knock out.
There's no Ronaldo and there's no Madrid.
This is what I'm trying to say. The only person to knock out Diego Simeone out of the Champions League fixture is Ronaldo. This is just Ronaldo. Any team that Ronaldo played for is the only team to knock out Simeone. In a one-off game, dark horses, bro. Dark horses.
No, I can hear that, definitely. But I think Bayern Munich, for me, they've been firing since this new manager's come in. I don't know. I can't see anyone stopping them, if that makes sense. Even Atletico, as good as defensively they are, for me, I think this Bayern team. And I think City, this is probably their best and easiest run-in to kind of make a run at this Champions League. So, boy, I think Pep will be kind of breaking his neck to do everything he can. I think we've seen him for once tactically tweak in these games, kind of where before he would kind of always stick to his guns and kind of just go ride and die on that. I actually like that bit of growth that I've seen from him. So we'll see kind of moving forward. I think City and Bayern for me are the favourites, but like you said, dark horses Atletico. I can definitely hear that.
What did you guys make of the point in commentary and analysis yesterday when they said that in the Barcelona-Bayern game, it was probably the first time ever that Bayern Munich actually played better football than Barcelona? What did you think of that?
What?
I don't.
Basically, there was a comment. There was a comment in analysis or commentary and after the game where they said, if you look at Bayern Munich right now, and you look at Barcelona, there's an argument that you could say that the way that Bayern Munich are going to play football against Barcelona is actually better. It's actually better brand of football.
They need to go back to 2012, 2013 when Barcelona beat, when Real Madrid, when Bayern beat them 7-0 on aggregate.
Bro, I was like, hold on.
They absolutely schooled them home and away.
And even wasn't there a semi-final like 2 years later?
I can't even remember this.
Or was that against? Sorry, that was against Madrid. That was against Madrid.
Yeah, that was
Literally, I found it interesting comment when I heard it. I was like,
these commentators sometimes.
These commentators be speaking. I saw them say,
"Bring back Tildesley, man. Bring back Tildesley."
Bro, I heard them say something. I can't remember what game it was. But the commentators were like, "Oh, it must be a lack of motivation." What game was it?
Oh no,
that was United. Sorry,
it was
United. Can you guys just? I was like, can you guys just address sometimes when somebody sucks? Man?
Oh shit!
Just beat around the bush, and they said Man United's performance was due to a lack of motivation. I was like, the players suck.
Nah, that's funny. That's funny.
All right, boom. Let's do it then. So we're saying what dark horse. I had a dark horse to shout, but Fuad, who do you believe is going to win this championship? Bayern. Who have you got?
I think because everyone's saying Bayern, I just don't know if it's going to happen. You know, when you get clear favourites, it never.
Is
really
everyone saying Bayern? Fuck, I might change it now.
Everyone thinks Bayern, man. So do you know what?
I actually like Bayern. That's the thing.
To go with my dark horses, I'm gonna go with Atletico for my dark horses. Might be Simeone's final crowning moment.
I would love to see Simeone win one though, bro. I'm not even gonna lie.
Personally, I think this is the year that with Liverpool winning the league, I feel like he'll do it. I think he'll do it. I think he'll do it because
if he wins it, it's the COVID Champions League anyway.
Yeah, hey.
Asterisk.
There was no 2 legs.
No.
Man, try to do this. Nope.
No, I just feel like in terms of Raheem Sterling, who that's another person I feel need to address. His Champions League record, listen, goes without saying, but I feel like he has the capability of getting the goal. I think if you look at the motivation behind kind of doing it for David Silva, I think about in terms of their defensive frailties as well. You only have to play good in one game. Like you don't.
Wait, is David Silva not going to play the rest of the games then? The semi-final?
No, he is. But I'm saying that this is his farewell, innit? And then even
they kept saying it was his last game out.
Yeah, but remember the game's in Portugal. Last game.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you throw into the fact that I think Aguero may come back a little bit fit as well in time, may come back. That's a little sprinkling as well. So I think that City have a good chance. But listen,
City don't want to see
Aguero
don't want to see a team like Atletico.
Listen, Aguero coming back to his old club.
I'll say is
Aguero coming back to play his old team, and he needs a big Champions League moment before he leaves City because he hasn't had that
yet. You saw Pep play Jesus left back when it was on top. So you never know. You might see Simeone.
Listen, all I'm gonna say as well is welcome back, my boy.
100 for the watch, 100 for the chin.
Memphis,
big ups.
bro.
Hey, big ups. I love
welcome back. Big him up. Hey, listen.
7 months out.
6 goals in 6 Champions League games this season. 15 goals in 20 games. And people talk about Farmers League. He's doing it in the Champions League, so I don't want to hear it.
7 in the last 9 internationals as well. Like,
bro,
he does it everywhere,
14 in his last 23 games for Holland. Bro,
hey,
the guy
27 million clause, sign him back United.
Bam. On that bombshell, listen, another episode. You, man, take it easy. Remember to like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Remember to keep supporting the Mandem as well. The Mandem don't exist without units, so keep supporting all that stuff. Follow the personals as well. Make sure you like. Make sure you press the notifications. All of that.
Follow the personals. What is wrong with everybody? Follow the personals. Go and follow everyone's personal. Follow